Well, there's a lot to be positive about. And I think, because I believe this is the right direction for all of Canada, not just Alberta. I honestly believe that if Canada gets off of this welfare mess of transfer payments to other provinces, if, say, for example, Alberta leaves and then next thing you know, Quebec is no longer a net recipient, but then becomes a net payer of these benefits, they'll probably leave immediately after as well. But what would the product of that be? It would be people in these provinces that were getting free money off somebody else's back. They get told, you're not going to get this anymore. You need to get to work. And then that's when people start to work. That's when people, okay, we're not doing that anymore. Let's start digging that stuff out of the ground. Let's start taking that gas out of the ground and doing all these other things. Let's start cutting trees down. And at the end of the day, what do you see out of the process of that? You see more economic activity, people coming out of poverty, people starting to look at the corrupt politicians, perhaps in their own regions once it's compartmentalized. And this is, I think, the first step in a long chain of events that could make the economic neighborhood of what is Canada now and what is North America much more prosperous, just by simply saying, I'm going to take my ball, go over here for a while, and wait until you guys want to play ball.
Well, I think what those of us who believe and have studied independence, Alberta independence, know is that in very short period of time after independence, your taxes are going to drop close to nothing or to nothing, just like they are in places like Saudi Arabia that have large reserves of oil. We know that the resources that will be available to the government to deliver critical services are going to go through the roof, right? Like they're really going to be easier for government. The cost of living will go down. Housing affordability and rent affordability will go up. It will be a tremendous opportunity for our young people to have a prosperous future. We could become a role model in how, if you remove excessive regulations and red tape and create an environment for businesses to thrive, that the prosperity that will bring, that will lift us all up and create a remarkable opportunity for Albertans. So there's a lot of optimism out there. I think it's real. It's well-founded. You know, look what just happened in the last couple of weeks with Trump and the deals he did with LNG, with Korea and with Europe, right?
They had a business case, right? They had a business case down there.
You know, so, you know, that should have been Alberta and that should have been Canada.
Definitely,
and we blew it. And we didn't blow it. We had incompetent ideological extremists in Ottawa making naive, deliberate policies that blocked us from having those opportunities or seizing on those opportunities and all the prosperity and wealth that would bring, and reduce the dependence on other dirty oil and other forms of energy and electricity production. You know, like, it's just incredibly stupid what the federal government continues to do. So there's a lot for Albertans to be optimistic about as to what the future will be for their children and their community if we become independent. And we'll be able to control the criminal law. We'll be able to control immigration laws. And we know they're out of whack. I mean, you're a dual citizen. I'm not. I cannot just go to the United States. I'm allowed to go down there for 6 months. That's it. I just can't show up and say, yeah, seeking asylum, you know, like what's happening here, all these people, and 4 out of 5 of them being granted asylum, even though they clearly are not in some form of political persecution, and overloading our healthcare system and our other essential services. We could get back to something that's more orderly, like we've traditionally had in Canada, where we've had a requirement that if you're going to immigrate to our country, that you had to meet certain standards of economic performance, and you're just not a mere economic refugee.
Well, that's absolutely fair. It's a fair way of assessing it. You know, we don't want to end immigration, but we just want to be smart about it. We were smart about it. We were one of the smartest nations on the planet, and we could just simply go back to that. The policies are still on the books. We could still literally go right back to that, and
Well, an
everything.
independent Alberta can, because they would control immigration, and just like Alberta currently controls almost all the Crown land. The water is owned by the province. All the oil and gas, minerals, forestry is owned by the province. The federal government has really little to do with us here right now under the Constitution.